everybody, it's Miss Jones here. We're going to read a story together today, and it's about a little duckling who is special, but he doesn't feel special. And this is a special type of story, too. This story is called a tale. Not like what's on a dog or a cat, but a tale is a type of story that is often made up, and it usually tries to teach us something. I wonder what our story today is going to teach us. So these are called story cards. They're a little different than the normal books we read from. One side has the picture, and on the back are the words. Up here is our title, The Ugly Duckling. And it's by someone named Hans Christian Andersen. Mother Duck sat on her eggs. She waited and waited. Suddenly, something moved. The eggs were beginning to hatch. One by one, the ducklings pushed out of their fragile shells. They looked at Mama Duck, and she looked at them too. Why, I've never seen a duckling like you before. Most of the ducklings were small, yellow, and fuzzy. But one of the ducklings was different. His feathers were gray, and his neck was long. You are certainly different, said Mother Duck, but I love you just the same. Follow me, sweet ducklings, Mother Duck said. Then she hopped in the pond, and the ducklings followed. Mr. and Mrs. Frog saw the ducks swim by. The two frogs were the proud parents of new baby tadpoles. Mother Duck's new ducklings are as cute as our tadpoles, except for that last one, said Mrs. Frog. You're right, said Mr. Frog. That is an ugly duckling. Mother Duck led the ducklings away. She did not want the ducklings to hear what the frog said, but it was too late. The gray duckling had heard the frogs. Is it true, Mother? Am I an ugly duckling? You are beautiful, Mother Duck said. You are big and strong, and you will surely do well. I am proud of all of my ducklings. Don't listen to those silly frogs. The gray duckling wanted to believe Mother Duck, but it was hard. Everywhere he went, the animals reminded him that he was strange. What an odd duck, they said. The gray duckling was sad. The other ducklings never invited him to play with them. He felt lonely. There must be something wrong with me, thought the gray duckling. I do not belong. That night, while the duck family was sleeping, the gray duckling quietly wandered away. He saw many new places and learned a lot about the world around him. But he still felt alone. Then one day he saw a group of beautiful white swans with long necks flying in the sky. Wow, what beautiful birds, thought the gray duckling. If only I could fly away, maybe I could find a home where I belong. The air grew chilly, brr, as winter came. The ponds and streams froze into ice, and the gray duckling was often cold. So in other places of the world, it does get very cold during the wintertime. At last, winter became spring and things got warmer. One day, the duckling saw several beautiful white swans splashing in a distant pond. They were the same birds that he saw with the long necks flying months before. I want to swim and play too, he thought. I don't want to be alone anymore. The duckling stretched his wings. He felt stronger and bigger than before. Without even trying, he flew into the air, and it felt wonderful to fly. The duckling flew to the pond, and the white swans gathered around him. I know I'm ugly and different, started the duckling. You are not ugly, said one of the swans. You are beautiful, and we are here to welcome you and be your friend. The duckling looked at his reflection in the water, and for the first time, he saw that they were right. He was a beautiful swan, just like them. At last, he had found a place where he belonged. So let's think back to the story. In part 1, let's look. How is the gray duckling different than the other little ducklings? And if you need to pause the story to take a look, go ahead. How is the gray duckling different than the other ducklings? And in this part, Mama Duck tells the gray duckling that he should ignore the frogs and the other animals. But it's hard. Why do you think it's hard to ignore what the other ones are saying? Has that ever happened to you before? It's happened to me. And in this part, why does the duckling leave his family? And what was he feeling at that time? And in the end, how does the duckling feel? Do you think he finally feels happy? And why do you think that he feels that way? How can you tell? Now, there was a lot of cool parts in this story. Thank you so much for listening.